Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Just Kira Davis. Now that I don't have a formal podcast, I never know how to start these things, but now it's just a place for me to talk. But I'm live streaming to Twitter right now. Let's see. Let's go check to see if it's working on there. Well, let's go because today I want to talk about compassion. That's been on my mind for quite some time now. I cut a couple of videos about it over on my Instagram page, but if you want to go check that out, my Instagram is just Kira Davis, Just Kira Davis. X is real Kira Davis. And make sure you go hit up my Substack at Just Kira Davis. I also have Journey to Christmas Land, which is my Christmas Land podcast with Amelia Hamilton. That's just for fun. That's just sort of low key, low effort, cheesy Christmas TV movies. We review them. We have a lot of fun. And I launched a really interesting or fun, or I should say personal project yesterday. I launched a new project called the Orange Report, which is going to be dedicated to just covering news and politics here in Orange County, California. We've got a lot going on. It's hard to find places to talk publicly about it because we're sandwiched in between LA and San Diego. So everyone's talking about those places. But we have um, lots of journalists that work for places like the Orange County Register. We have social media influencers, but we don't have sort of a hub, sort of an Orange County program that's known for Orange County. So I've always wanted to do that. And then I thought, why not just do it? So I launched a GoFundMe. You can find that I launched, it's a Give, Send, Go. It's not a GoFundMe. It's a crowdfund. Give, Send, Go. You can go find the Orange Report with Kira Davis and go donate to our mission to really, I just want to shine a light on what some of the politicians are doing here in our county. And they do a lot at these meetings and they act like they're invisible because I think largely they are. So I would just like for them to not be so invisible. I guess that's my whole point. I'm not an investigative reporter. I'm trying to stay away from that, but I am a commenter and a communicator. So I want to communicate the good work of the people who are out there on the ground, sort of working in obscurity or anonymity to cover the important issues of Orange County. So that is the Orange Report. We launched our pilot episode yesterday. It's just a spec episode. It's a sample. You can see what we plan on doing, and we're going to get better. But if you'd like to support our mission, you can go do that. But I don't want to take up too much time today with this, but I do want to talk about this topic of compassion. And if you, I think my final episode of Just Listen to Yourself, I sort of ended that unceremoniously, but that final episode was with Dr. Joe Rigney, and we talked about the sin of empathy. And you probably already know Allie Beth Stuckey, who has written a similar book. And I think there have been a few, these things come up. I believe in sort of the collective unconsciousness, these ideas flying around, they come up and then you get a lot of them at the same time. And so that's what's happening now. And I think it's a sign of where we are. But this topic has come up around the immigration issue. Now I'm 51 now, and we have been talking about this immigration issue forever. I know before I got here, but when I started in this business almost 20 years ago now, that was right when we were that was right around 9/11, right? Not too far from 9/11, and we were right in the midst of an invasion. People aren't going to remember this because so much has happened, but we're in the midst of an invasion because after 9/11, what happened was we started looking around going, maybe we shouldn't just be having people come in here just like willy-nilly and we're not vetting them. And maybe we shouldn't be having all of these Muslims from third world countries in here. And then the left and the squishes on the right, led by the George Bushes of the world, said, we can't do that. We can't be racist. We have to prove to the world that we didn't deserve to be attacked on 9/11. So we have to let in all the Muslims. We have to let in all of the third world refugees. We have to let them all in, or else the world will think we deserved that attack. That's really what happened. That was really the policy. We don't talk about it like that anymore. We don't even mention that anymore. But at the time, that was a big deal. And then we absorbed all these people and life went on. And then the immigration issue moved to the Mexicans for a while. And now it's looping back. I find that very interesting and good. I find it good. We never should have left it. You know what? I rewatched 24 a while back, and I watched the first 4 seasons. And It was really interesting because it's really a marker of its time, right? It's a historical ledger almost because those shows were made in a post 9/11 era. So we're really interested in terrorism and counterterrorism, but we were struggling with the Muslim and the Islam issue. And so 24, you've probably forgotten about it already. Go back and watch it, but they've kind of addressed it in a lot of ways. And it's more of a time capsule. Like you can see what we were struggling with at the time. And what we were struggling with is the idea that Islam was not compatible with the West, and yet we were being forced to welcome all of these Muslims here. And it would never, they didn't assimilate. They didn't assimilate. They don't assimilate. Some convert, some don't practice their religion faithfully, but most of them didn't assimilate, and it's taken 20 years now to get to this point where we can see the results of what happened, and, it's scary, and that's why you have to do President Trump has to do what he's doing now. 'Cause I have a friend, okay? I have a friend who's in her 30s, young mother, got red pilled through COVID. I'm starting to call it COVID pilled because a lot of people just got COVID pilled, right? She's from here and got red pilled, and now she is really becoming a very passionate conservative. I'll say that, passionate Republican. But she is really struggling with the immigration issue. I was at her house recently and she said, "Look here, I agree that we have to deal with this immigration issue and get all the illegals out. But you know, what about my housekeeper? She's been here for 30 years. I love her. She's actually a really good friend of the family's. She came from Mexico just to make the better life. She struggled to get the right paperwork done and eventually gave up. But she raised her son here. Her son's in the military, actually, and she's a huge conservative and even a huge Trump fan. What about her? You know, I think we need to make a path for people like that who have she's paid her taxes, she's paid her dues. She's done everything to be a normal, productive American. And it sounded like she had, by the way. I wasn't suspicious of her story. I believed her story. It sounded like she had. But when she was talking to me, I just realized, she just got here, you know? She just got here to the battle 5 minutes ago, and she doesn't know that we've actually been through this. We've had this conversation not once or twice or 3 times before, but 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Every time there's a midterm election or a presidential election, we have this conversation about a path to citizenship and who can avail themselves of it. And, we can't deport everybody. What about the people who are here and working and contributing? It's not fair. We've already done that. And you know what? We make those compromises every time. Every time there's compromise legislation and we're still here. Or it's led us here. It's not that we're still here by accident. It's led us here. And I was trying to explain to my friend, besides the fact that, you know, we need to we need to hold people accountable. I get that your housekeeper is a good person and sounds like she's raised a great American and contributed to life here in California and in America. Sounds like she's done all those things correctly. But 30 years is a long time to live in a country with no paperwork, right? 30 years is a long time to say, I'm not going to figure it out, even after your son joined the military. 30 years, has she ever traveled? I'll bet you she travels back and forth to Mexico. How's she doing that? 30 years is a long time to be paying taxes that, again, how's she paying the taxes? Well, she has an employee identification number, does she? Are you sure? Are you sure? Most of them don't. If she's illegal, then how did she apply for employee identification, right? All of this stuff. You're stealing some kind of information to get what you need to even be registered for a lot of these services. At some point, these aren't victimless crimes. My friend texted me 2 days ago and she said, and she was mad. She was mad. She's Kira, I am so mad. I just got a letter in Spanish from my state department, I think from the Social Security Services, about my Obamacare benefits. My friend makes 6 figures. She does not have Obamacare. She does not have Obamacare. Someone stole her Social Security and applied for Obamacare benefits under it. Mexican. And so now she's got to go through this whole process to try to get this cleared, to try to get this sorted out. But what she said, and my friend is a very lovely person, a kind person who has dedicated a lot of her life to helping other people in different ways. And she said, "You know what, Kira? I'm sick of it. I'm done with it. I'm done with all of them. Deport them all. I don't have any compassion left. I'm sick of this shit." That's what she said. "I am sick of it." And she is not the first person I heard this week alone say that. This week alone. I've been hearing it. I've been hearing it I feel like it's especially ramped up since the ICE riot started over the summer. We're sick of it. We're sick of, let me read this X post from my friend Dave Marcus. But it's about this story, that there was that horrible crash, and an illegal truck driver killed a couple of newlyweds in Oregon. New York Post ran a headline today: truck driver charged with killing newlyweds in horror crash is an illegal migrant given license in Newsom's, California. Surprise, surprise. And Dave reposted it, and he says, "It really does feel like native born Americans are regulated within an inch of our lives, but illegal immigrants just do whatever the hell they want to." And I can tell you, Dave, and everybody that living in California, that's exactly what it feels like. You follow the rules, and all they get you is more rules. You do things right, and all it gets you is more bills. You can squat, and it's a fortune. It is a small ransom to own a home in this state, and you can squat on somebody else's property and make it your own, and the government has no authority to do anything, nor does the homeowner. If you want to be a piece of shit, you can squat in anyone's home in this state, and then you just own it, basically. And it's almost impossible for a landlord to remove you, a person who owns the property and pays the taxes on the property. And the state will do nothing. They don't want to do anything. They don't want you to own anything. They're resentful of the landowners. They're resentful. So it just, let me read you this. I was reading this earlier. Let's see. I might put it on my phone here. I don't know where I saw it now. But anyway, it was an article about how difficult it is to live in San Francisco or in Santa Monica. And it was a guy who was saying, Santa Monica has up to 15% vacant units. Now, you've heard us talk nonstop in California about the housing shortage, especially in LA. So how does Santa Monica have up to 15% vacancies? It's because landlords don't want to rent out their properties, because you're basically, how did he put it? Dang it. I'm sorry that I flaked on that. How did he put it? No, here it is. Let me read this to you. This is from a guy named Graham Stephan. Graham Stephan, Phan, Stephan. "I sold my forever home in LA. I bought it in 2020, planning to keep it for decades. Instead, I left it completely empty for 5 years. I turned down 600 in potential rent. Here's the math on why it's now safer to earn $0 than to be a landlord in LA." He talks about how the house is really important to him. He purchased it for $2.1 million in 2020, sold it in 25 for $2.7 million. He made $570,000. But when you work out the math, he's lost money on this. He could have rented it out for $12,000 a month. It's in Santa Monica, so that's about right. I know for some of you are like $12,000 a month, but that sounds about right. We're in Santa Monica. In Santa Monica, rent control has morphed into tenant ownership. That's what he calls it. It's tenant ownership. If I rented it out, I would have faced one, a 0.5% rent cap, while my insurance went up 10% and labor went up 50%. A ban on ending leases, so you can't cancel your lease as a landlord, and a $38,000 fee to move back into my own house. This is real. This is real in America. The last one makes no sense. If I rented the house, then I decide I wanted to use it again, the city forces me to pay the tenant $38,000 in relocation fees. They call it vacancy paradox. The risk of getting a tenant who I couldn't remove was higher than the guaranteed cost of paying the mortgage on an empty unit. So I chose to burn the cash rather than risk losing control of the asset. I'm not alone. Estimates suggest 10% of Santa Monica units are vacant. This is what, it's more than that. It's more than that. It's more than that. And at this day, December 2nd, 2025, it's more than that in Santa Monica. I would bet you it's up to 25%. I'm not alone. I just read that. This is what happens when regulations punish supply. Investors don't fight the city, they just leave. And he wrote a post on his Substack, Graham Stephan at Substack. He wrote about 5 regulations that killed the deal, the profit loss calculation, and what I'm buying with his cash instead. But yeah, that's where we are. You are punished in the state of California and really across the country at this point for following the rules, for doing the right thing. And this isn't just here in California. It's not in the United States. It's everywhere. It's across the globe. This is a global incursion. Do you guys understand what is happening here? Do you understand what President Trump is doing? He's fighting a war. We didn't even know that we were in this war, but it's not. It's not a civil war. I keep calling it a civil war, and I think that's coming. I guess there's a way to avoid it. I don't know if I'm smart enough to know how, but that's coming. I guess if we don't really buckle down and lock down and get this job done, nuke the filibuster. Nuke the filibuster. I'm sorry to lose control. I'm a bit menopausal today. Blame it on God. Nuke the filibuster because we are at war. We don't have any more time. I don't know why everyone's complaining about the drug boats in Venezuela and us killing people and maybe going back to kill people that weren't dead the first time. We're at war. And this has been, when I went to Portugal over the summer, my family and I went, and it was a graduation trip, and they were having we were viewed with such suspicion. We were on the islands in the Azores. It's a small island chain of islands. We weren't on the mainland even. We were viewed with such suspicion the whole time we were there until we would open our mouths to speak, because people didn't understand we were American. They thought we were Africans. They thought my Black family was an African family. And they're sick of immigrants. They're sick of being forced to take the worst of the worst from across the world on their shores and give them the benefits and give them the jobs. And then when they can complain, get told they're nativist or racist. They're sick of it. So they didn't like to see us coming in Portugal until we said hello. And then they loved us when they found out we were Americans. But here's why I bring it up, because I realized, and there were a lot of Africans around, way too many for a small random island chain in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's literally in the middle of nowhere. And they've got an immigration problem. My little island that I'm from in Canada, Prince Edward Island, when we went up there 2 years ago to visit my mother before she broke up with us because of Trump, when we went to visit her, I couldn't believe I was the only Black person around when I was growing up. I got called the N-word every day. That's how rare it was to see anybody of a different race. There were so many Chinese and Pakistanis there. It was shocking. Shocking. I realized then that this is not an us problem. It's not a Canada problem. It is a global problem. So when you look at people like Keir Starmer or Justin Trudeau or whoever is with Mark Carney or whatever idiots leading Canada now, you look at those guys and you go, and Macron, you go, why are they doing this? This is so crazy. Like, they're killing their countries. No, they don't have countries. Do you understand? They don't care about their countries. They don't have countries. Macron doesn't have a country. Mark Carney, Keir Starmer. Do you ever listen to how President Trump talks about Keir Starmer? I do. He consistently says that he likes Keir Starmer, and not in the same way he says, I like President Z, because some of that's business talk, right? Oh, he's a nice guy. That's my best friend. Yeah, that's business talk. That's putting the shine on. He knows how to do that. That's why he is who he is. But with Keir Starmer, he genuinely speaks warmly of that man. And that man seems like a complete psycho given what's going on in this country. But the reason why I think is because he knows Keir Starmer isn't in charge. It's the globalists. They're in charge. So they own that country now. You want to know why everyone's working so hard against President Trump? Why the seditious six put out a video encouraging a military coup in 2025? You want to know why? Because Trump's not a globalist and he has a country. These people don't have country. Alyssa Slotkin, she doesn't have a country. She doesn't fight for this country. They're traitors. This is global. All these people are traitors to their own countries. And that's what's happening. This is a global incursion, and President Trump recognizes it. And we have to halt immigration. We should not be taking any more immigrants. I'm an immigrant. Before you get in the comments and start lecturing me, I'm an immigrant. Well, I put my colors on today just to say this, right? Because I know what a precious commodity this country is. So if you come here with the idea that you're going to change it somehow, you're going to change us somehow, that we owe you something. America doesn't owe you any opportunities. America is the opportunity. So if you're not going to come here and treat it like an opportunity, then get the hell out. We don't want you, and we don't want to deal with this anymore. And that is what I am seeing across the board. And it's spanning class and income level and geography. I'm hearing it from all corners of this country. People are sick. We've got no more compassion left to give. We see what you're doing. And this is how they drive you crazy, by the way. This is how they drive you crazy. It's for real. They force a ton of regulations and red tape and controls on you and rules, and you follow them more and more and more because you want to be civilized. You want to follow the rules, and people who follow the rules get the benefits. And then they welcome rule breakers into your presence, give them your money, and then don't punish the rule breakers, but they'll punish you, right? They won't, in the UK, they won't punish the guy who rapes his neighbor's daughter, but he'll punish the guy who comes back into the UK for posting a picture of shooting a rifle while he was visiting Florida. They'll punish that guy. That's on purpose. It's on purpose. Okay? It's a war. Everyone needs to get their big girl panties on. Right? I don't want to hear any more bitching about Venezuela drug boats. It's war. You don't litigate war. Right? You don't have due process in war. There's a murderer standing at your door with a gun in his hand. You're not going to give him due process. You're going to kill him. And that's what these people are doing. They're coming to kill us. They're coming to kill our children. A lot of them are already here. We're already dealing with it. We don't have any more compassion to give. I honestly, every time the New York Times or the Post or whoever, Washington Post, posts a story about or a video of a migrant or an illegal immigrant getting picked up by ICE at the airport, you got a lot of audacity to be here illegally and then be traveling on vacation. You got a lot of audacity. You deserve to be picked up at the airport. Just can't believe that people are so brazen. It's the brazenness that we really can't tolerate anymore. When I see those videos, I don't feel bad. I don't feel mad. I don't even get mad at the New York Times for posting propaganda anymore. You know what I do? I laugh. And that's terrible. It's terrible. I don't feel good about that. But I laugh because I have no more compassion to give. We have no more compassion. We're done. We're watching our own kids get pushed out of their college, their state colleges and their schools. We're watching our own kids get pushed out of the job market. Watching our own kids get pushed out of scholarships and opportunities. We're watching ourselves get pushed out of home ownership, business ownership. We're watching ourselves get pushed out of our own communities to make room for the illegals that have busted in and then call us bigots for not giving them everything we own. We're so done. We're so done. And I know we're seeing these polls that are like, listen, affordability is an issue. That's going to be an issue for President Trump and for Congress. They need to address that. Hopefully, with all of these big plans they've been talking about, with the tariffs are going to kick in. Hopefully, that's going to kick in the next year. I'm not a numbers gal. I don't know the math. I'll just, we'll see when we see. My point is this, that is, shoot, I lost the point. I don't know what I guess what I'm saying is I don't know when we're going to see the improvement here, but what has to happen on the immigration front is that it has to be locked down because it is war and we are under attack. And so the people who are complaining about not giving the terrorists their due, they don't understand. This is war, and that is why it's going to get worse before it gets better inside our own borders, because the left knows that we're cleaning up. And if we get the chance to finish the job, it's going to be 40 years before they win it. They've been cheating this whole time, everybody. That's what Elon was talking about when he came in with Doge. And he said, you're going to find out y'all been living in the Truman Show. Just wait. And I don't think we've seen the roof has not been ripped off yet. But that is what we're going to find out. The Democrats have been cheating. They don't win. They don't win. In the city centers, they win. And that's why Republicans have been malfeasant, one, complicit in some cases of giving up the cities to Democrats, just giving them up, not fighting for them. The socialists do well in the cities, so you can count on those numbers being pretty organic, but they're not winning. They're still not winning. You're getting close because if the propaganda is strong enough, you can convince people that this is the way the country is going, and we're this close. California is ground zero for that. You look around, we have the Republican voters to win elections, but we look around and we go, there's no way to win. The system's rigged. The Democrats own it. It's cheating everywhere. We can't even get inside to fix the cheating. And so Republicans stay home. It changes your mindset, and that changes elections. So it can be effective. And that is why one thing that Republicans need to do, particularly here in the state of California, by the way, I really hate getting lectured about getting out there and go vote early. Go vote early. You're being irresponsible if you don't vote early. You're playing their game, first of all. Now we're playing their early voting game. I know all the reasons why we're supposed to vote early. It helps you compete in the polls. That being said, if Republicans are going to betray us and make us move towards the left on the voting issue, then well, shoot, at least give us something to go to the ballot box for. Excite us. Give us a reason to get out there early. If you want us to vote early, you got to give people a reason. And right now, it doesn't feel like the California Republican Party cares that we feel like our votes don't matter. Feels like they don't care. And then they go, well, we've done what we do care. We passed out 50,000 flyers for Prop 50. Flyers do have a purpose. That's not for nothing. Don't knock that. And the door knocking, all that counts. There's a reason why we still do it. But we're not going to win with that because we haven't been winning with that. We need outside the box thinking. California Republican Party, what's happening up there? I love Corinne. She's a friend of mine, and she's been a great support when I was running for school board. Great support. But girl, what's happening up there? I don't want to hear anymore like we spent this much money on consultants. Obviously, it's not working. So you have to give people a reason to get excited to go out and vote early. You can't just scold them about it and call them idiots. We've given up on, the Republican Party's given up on California. Big mistake. Shouldn't do that. We need this state. We have how many electoral votes here? 40 or whatever? How many? We need this state. I just can't believe there's anyone out there who thinks that giving up is ever an option. I can't believe there's any American out there who thinks that giving up is an option. I don't even have it in me. I've tried like 30 times and I keep coming back. I've quit this business a million times. It's a lot of work for a little payoff. And mostly it's just personal insults, from people you work with and people you don't. And it's hard to have your head in the news cycle all day. It's depressing and it changes your heart if you're not careful. So, but I do it because I can't give up. And I'm not smart enough to invent anything or to provide any, information that's going to change people's lives. I'm not skilled enough to, change my community or change the world. Like I don't invent computer programs. I don't know how to code, but I do, I know how to talk. So that's my mission. That's what I do. But everybody has to get in the game here because we're at war, and we don't have any more compassion left. I actually think I think we need a full stop on immigration. And I heard Ann Coulter say that 12 years ago. Ann Coulter, and I believe she was with Phyllis Schlafly. And I remember I was at a CPAC event. It was off site because you couldn't even say that on site at the CPAC property. And I went to an immigration seminar and I heard Ann Coulter say we need a full stop in immigration. I thought, whoa, as an immigrant myself, I thought, whoa, that's a little harsh. Maybe we need to pull back. But she was right and I was wrong. She just called it way ahead of time. We need a full stop. We're out of compassion. If we don't digest what's here already, we're never going to have any more compassion. But I think the left wants that. I think they want us to be cold and uncaring. They don't like that Americans are a generous people. They don't like that. So I think they want to bleed us of our compassion. And that's why they flew in the dead of night, flew all those people to those small towns, flew all those refugees and migrants who were here, men of military age, to the small towns in Ohio and Idaho and the places you would never look or think to see. And it's only thanks to governors like Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis that got the idea, all right, if they're going to do it, we're going to do it too. Let's ship these to where they live. Thankfully, they spread the misery around and now we all get to see how it's working. But it just, the result has been the death of compassion. And so I only have compassion for my fellow Americans right now. And if you're here illegally, and especially like if you're here illegally, look, and you're just hanging out and you're like my friend's maid who's just kind of raising good people and you're doing good work and you're just doing, you're minding your own business, then you know what? Here's my advice to you. Lay low. Lay low. You're not supposed to be here. And if you've been here 30 years and you've never been picked up, now's the time to lay low. Now's not the time to be asking us for compassion, right? Because we're out of it. And you might deserve a little compassion, but we've got nothing left to give. So don't risk it. Lay low. Don't be traveling. Don't let me see your dumbass on TikTok getting dragged out of the airport on your way home to Guadalupe for Christmas. Don't go anywhere. You are here you're privileged to be here. So if you're here illegally, I'm not going to tell you get out, because you know what? If I was here illegally, I wouldn't either. And if I didn't live here, I'd do everything I could to live here too. So I don't blame you for trying. But what I'm saying is like lay low. It's very brazen to just be running all over the place and traveling and even leaving the country knowing you don't belong here. Lay low. And if you do have the audacity to travel, to get on a plane with a real ID or to even leave the country, then yeah, I think you do deserve to get shipped out because you're not taking it seriously. You don't understand the privilege that you've stolen. I don't have any more compassion. We're tired. I'm tired of funding everyone else's kids, tired of my kids getting a subpar education because my teacher in the classroom has to teach to the lowest common denominator, and that's always the kid who can't speak English. We're tired of the insults. We don't care what you say. All those articles you run now, progressive leftists, on like, oh, you're so bigoted, or these people are such racists. We don't care. Call us racist, call us bigots. We don't care anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. We don't believe you, and we don't care what you think about us anyway, because we don't like you. We're tribalizing. It's time to tribalize. It's time to pick your tribes. You know what I realized? I realized that after my mom like cut off our family, I just worked so hard to include her in my life, even though she's not been that kind to me and my family over the years. And she's never, been kind about my career, my politics, or any of that. I've always, I just realized that it's not the blood that binds you. It's the blood of Christ that binds you. I should say that it is. It's the blood. It's the blood that binds you, but it's not your blood that binds you. Your tribe is not the people you were born into. Your tribe are the people who think like you, who share your mindset. And that's not to say that we all think alike, just that we're all on the same page. So, and this is why I love being a Christian, because the tribe is it like if you're part of an African tribe, you know what race you're going to be. If you're part of like a Irish tribe, you know what color your hair is probably going to be. There's all kinds of identifying markers for tribes on earth, but the Christian tribe, the tribe of God, it's not defined by how you look or your sex or your marital status. Is not defined by any of that. The marker is in the blood of Christ. And so the tribe is big and wide and varied and geographically diverse and all of that. So the American tribe is the same way. And I just think we're tribalizing, and it's just time for people to find their tribes and pick them. If you're pro-America, you're in my tribe. If you think America owes you something, you are not a part of my tribe, and so, yeah, we cannot rock. Rock. All right, I'm gonna go. Got a lot of other things to do today, and it's getting to be the busy Christmas season. I was reading my Advent devotional today, and one of the things that it talked about is, like, preparing for the gift of God, preparing for the gift of salvation and what he birthed into the world when he birthed himself, I guess. And so I guess that's what I will go through this day thinking about and ruminating on, like preparing myself and my heart for what is ahead in the Christmas season, both spiritually and physically, just gift giving and decorating and all of that. But B, also like preparing for what's ahead in 2026, particularly on the politics front and the news front, preparing for that. And yeah, just getting prepared. I'm not quite sure what those preparations should be right now. Just see what they look like to you and then do it. All right. I'm going to go subscribe to all of my things. Go to Substack, justkyridavis.com. Instagram is just Kira Davis. Twitter is Kira Davis. And don't forget to go find the Orange Report, like it, subscribe, and go to our Give Send Go and help us with our mission. Because really, what I want to do, I don't want to investigate their stories. I'm not an investigative reporter. But what I want to do is I want to send out reporters to sit in these meetings and do all these things so they can bring me back stories, and then I can share them all with you. And that costs money. People got to eat, you know. Gathering news and information is not free. AI is making a lot of stuff free, but it's never going to be free. The truth is always going to cost you something to deliver. All right. See you guys later. Thanks for tuning in. Um, you don't have to be compassionate. Just be an American.